Good morning, guys. Jen here. Hope everybody's well. So it's been a few days. Yeah. So it's weird. There's so much to go over, and I never know like what to show people and what to leave out. I don't know how much research people do on their own. Probably not a lot. There just isn't time. So I try to bring things that are interesting, quirky, and relevant. But nowadays, everything is like that. I really do think AI has run off with itself and is pushing out a lot of the media's stories. And a lot of articles I notice are like freelance. They're used on a variety of different websites. And so it's almost like we've come to the point where there are so many choices that we can't make a decision because we don't know what to choose. Type of thing. And then if you do make a choice, you're either villainized or virtue signaled or all these, strange things. Yeah. The more that I am shown behind the veil, the more that I feel like God is showing me. And yes, I'm a believer, but everybody is welcome here. I just don't entertain or tolerate hate personally. So I try to keep a clean space for people to come and just converse and fellowship and learn and share with each other. So that's why, again, I deleted a lot of content from the original channel, because the aim is to remove fear, not to bring people into a state of fear. And I know that we have some tough topics, some tough situations happening in the world around us, and that takes tact. We have to have tactful conversations about those things. And so deciding on what to be serious about and what not to be serious about. The only thing I really don't personally entertain is hatred. There's enough of that out there, and there's enough channels to go and have that type of interaction, I guess, if that's what's desired. But the longer I'm isolated, the harder it is for me to convey these things that I'm being shown. And no, I'm not special. The whole point of sharing our testimony is that we defeat our adversary with the blood of the Lamb and the power of our testimonies, inciting the good works that can manifest in our life if we are in cooperation with God. And I think it's so interesting seeing a lot of these spiritual elements that I've read about in the Bible, in scripture, in ancient text, seeing them come to life in like this modern type of way that I didn't envision in my head when I read those books. And I had the fear of God put into me because people around me were used as these organic portals that we were talking about in the last video, again, which again I revisit from time to time. And as usual, I was looking at some channels and even at a book that somebody's charging $80 for just the digital copy of this book about organic portals. And he has a YouTube channel, this person. And as usual, there's like truth, but there's all these misinformation bits, like about I might get a little graphic for a moment, about men who practice like abstinence, but it's called something different nowadays, about saying that's just simply because they don't have the energy in their chakras, and all this type of superiority, inferiority type of jargon. And I think that's dangerous. Yes, people around us are used, and it's unfortunate, but I do believe that, and I've seen that God is doing new things, or things that we didn't understand properly. And if we're willing to set aside this human pride, and it is just part of this curse of the downfall, I guess, in thinking that we are the end all be all, I believe that we're sovereign, but I believe that takes balance and understanding. I mean, I see things all day long that I personally manifest, because there's not a lot of other people in my personal space. And so I have that insight into things. But just because I know that I'm a part of things manifesting does not mean that I am the God who created all of this and everyone here. And it takes a balance. We can't allow ourselves to be so condemned that we feel unworthy of God's love, because what parent makes you earn their love, right? And parents know these things. I think understanding the Creator is easier for people who have become parents, and these different cycles in life that we all go through and experience, most of us in some way, shape, or form, are tailored to suit us and our needs. And we can manifest in cooperation with God. We have to participate in our own salvation, in coming into this being that He wanted us to be. And I don't want to get too far off point here, but basically what I'm trying to say is sometimes I show dark things, but we have to maintain balance, and we have to understand that we are no better than anyone else, and no one else is any better than us. We are all on equal footing here, except for the forces of darkness. They were not given this plane. It is not their realm, and we don't have to allow that to take over. But again, it takes our participation and cooperation. So even when we talk about dark things, it is only to reflect that, hey, God is good, God is here and present, and there is an antithesis, an opposite to all things. And there's a reason for that. The Old Testament is carnal. The New Testament is spiritual. The Old Testament is rather dark. The New Testament is the hope. I think we miss the main point of a lot of things. And so, yeah, sometimes I take breaks, because when you put yourself out there like this, criticism is quick and swift. Quick and swift, that's the same thing. Is blunt and swift, maybe? Like an axe. And a lot of us do this as a labor of love, not for money, not for fame, obviously, or popularity, but simply to do our part in this time and try to raise the collective vibration and frequency, so that all of our fellow men and women and children do not fall into this primordial sludge soup that we have helped create, though we are not the creator. So here you're looking at Midsummer, and when I start a live, I always like to do a little preamble and whatnot. This is going to be so miscellaneous and so off the wall. You're going to say, why are all these things together? But I honestly just did not want to do a bunch of smaller videos. We'll see how it goes. So I recently watched Midsummer, and this gets into a little bit of that spiritual reflection I'm talking about. I finally saw it. I really enjoy Florence Pugh. I think she is one of the most evocative actresses that I've ever seen, even considering starlets of Hollywood in its heyday. Her facial expressions are so raw and so real, and throughout the movie, and without spoiling it, you can pause it to read the description. She gets taken to this cult for a weekend, and everything is prim and proper and pristine, and they have their order, but everything is carried out like in a very specific way. And I don't want to give too many things away, but it's definitely there is spilling of blood that is required. And personally, that's a part I don't quite understand yet, but I think I am getting there. This here, and I think I made a post about this not too long ago. This is what's called mirroring. Now, there are two different types of mirroring. When you mirror somebody, this is what children will do, right? When they're raised up, you'll see that certain children in the South, children in the East Coast, West Coast, they all grow up with very similar mannerisms to those around them, right? And so slang and dialect and accents are products of our environment. That's what creates them, is us mirroring the people around us. That's why if you move, you relocate, you can lose your accent, even if you were born with it, because you're now around people who do not speak that way. It is a natural thing that happens with humans. It's actually very tribal. It's a natural thing that happens. I guess with primates, anything that can have a facial expression. But what they're doing here is they're mirroring her pain and her grief, right? And I think we're at such a point in society that we look at screens all the time, that we mirror things on the outside, but we're not really feeling them on the inside. And mirroring can be a beautiful thing if done in a pure and natural, holistic, organic way, if it comes about that way. But on the other end, for narcissists and these people that are called NPCs or organic portals, these beings, I think it's all the same spirit, just dressed up in a different package. I've seen human beings referred to as containers on certain subreddits, and I think this is why when I talk to different people, no matter if it's in Ohio, Pennsylvania, Erie, or down south in Florida, you know, where was I going with that? I'm sorry. I lost track. I'm sitting here petting Sam. My point is that when this is organic, it's a beautiful thing. But when it's inorganic, when it's manufactured, you should be able to recognize it. A souled, spirited being should be able to recognize the lie, the deception that is in front of us. And we're not always able to do that. And that tells me that we've lost something that was inherent to us as a species, that we were born with, that we had all the time. And so I'm at such a point now where I've been so isolated from people that I'm an empty vessel at this point, right? There's no one around me for me to copy or pretend to be or to pick up habits from. So I am more self maybe than I ever was before, but I'm also less of self because I'm being filled up by something new, right? And light, and it's a purification process, a bit, isolation and seclusion can be. And as much as we are tribal beings, I sometimes wonder how this all started, if the family units, if we're supposed to be this close with each other, live this close with each other. I feel like maybe the women should be more with the women and the men should be more with the men. And not because I'm a traditionalist to the point where I want to go backwards. I don't want to go backwards. I want to see something new created, right? Where men and women are in cooperation side by side, where it's not about lust. And I mean, you can't turn anything on now without hearing about somebody's anatomy. And again, I'm trying to be tactful here. Personally, that's not what I want. I want to learn, right? And I want to learn new things. I don't want to learn about that per se. But again, if we talk about mirroring and reflections of the spiritual in the physical and these manifestations, it takes, again, everything takes me back to the biblical story. It's in every story. It's in Pinocchio. It's in The Little Mermaid, which I've shown you guys. It's in Little Red Riding Hood. It's in every fairy tale you've ever read to your children, because it's ingrained in us at this point. Anyways, it takes me back to God in the Old Testament in Genesis saying, "Let us make them in our image." And yet we say we worship one God, but it is this Trinity, and how it's this mysterious. And faith should be a little mysterious. It should be mystical. There are things, of course, that you can explain with science, but we don't even understand all of the workings of the things we've discovered. We don't understand the science or the nature, the true nature of all of these beings and processes that we're seeing. We still haven't, been able to do that. And so it takes me back to that Old Testament about how God refers to himself, itself, herself as being us or them. And I know, you don't have to leave all these comments about the fallen angels, and we've been over all that. And of course, we'll still dig into it. But I want to go to new places at this point, and it can get, you don't want to be too redundant. You don't want to end up talking about something to the point where people aren't curious about it enough to look at it themselves, or to make up their own minds, or to investigate for their own self. Yeah, so this mirroring thing that narcissists do, there are a lot of imposters walking around, and a lot of people right now are not what they seem to be. And I know how that sounds. I know that sounds crazy. I know a lot of the things that I say on the channel can sound crazy if you don't put them in their proper context and understand that I'm speaking of the invisible realm around us, that many people do. It's a given that it's there, right? You can folk tales, folklore, mythology, our history here in America, the superstitions that we have and why we have them. So we can't deny that it's there. At least we shouldn't, because that would be incongruent with ourselves. But we have to understand that we should be able to tell the difference and discern when somebody is just play acting. And now when I say the celebrities that are shown to us probably aren't those people, this is what I mean. I mean that much like a video game, they are using an actor or a model as their avatar in the media, so that in their personal lives, them and their children are safe. You won't have issues with kidnapping, or trying to abscond with this person or that person, because they don't actually know what these people look like, right? If we don't know what they look like, then the bad guys can't try to take their money or their children or their things or their stuff from them. That's as basic as I can get with it. So when I talk about these people or these characters, please understand that I'm not gossiping against that person. I am speaking of the caricature that is put forth in the media, and different activities that are attributed to them. Whether they're true or not, that is up to you to discern. I can't tell you what to believe, why you should believe it, why not to believe it. All I can try to do is share my testimony with you and say, okay, A, B, and C happened to me, therefore I know D, God exists, because if demons exist, then so must God. If the people at the top know certain things about alchemy and magic, as it's called, in its, again, basic form, if they know that is this other realm to dip into, they obviously know that there is a God as well. So we have to take these things into account when looking at headlines. We have to understand, are these people just mirroring? Are they just virtue signaling? Or are they genuine? And we have to look for the breadcrumbs in these stories. Some of them I don't even believe are real or legit. I think they are just getting coded messages out. Nowadays, spies and that type of thing doesn't work the way that it used to. And I think the safest way to send messages is in the public. No one will think twice of it. No one can trace it back to a specific person. I see this person that a lot of truthers use Tyler Durden or Darden. I don't know where they get his articles. I've not been able to find an actual picture of this person or what this person looks like, but everybody's been using his links for years, and I've never been able to confirm anything that this person puts out. They see a news blurb or a headline, they get excited, they get that emotional high from it, right? The algorithm gets its click, and the next day something else begins, and everybody else forgets, wait a second, none of this stuff has come to fruition. Hold, please. I had to get a drink of orange juice. I do hope to do like face-to-face videos again very soon. I've been planting and kind of just working on my spirit. A lot of praying, a lot of meditating, and exercising because it's summer, and I think strength is important, or at least basic maintenance, and trying to upkeep, where you're at, if nothing else. And those of us who are kind of secluded and isolated, or feel like we're on our own, or are on our own, whether people are around us or not, we have to stay busy, and that's important. So what did I want to show you guys? Well, a few things. I was looking up organic portals because that's the last video we did, and this came up. It's accredited to this Maronpan Records in Paris, France. This is on Bandcamp, where you can buy underground music. Oh, there's all kind of things you can buy, podcast music, but I think it's pretty much music. This is straight electronic rhythmic music, like they would have called techno in my younger years. There are no lyrics, but I just wanted to share this with you. Nothing is what it seems, and I'm trying to figure out what these things are. They look like shells of walnuts or something, but I don't exactly know, and I don't know if I want to know. But the band is accredited as Organic Portals, and it's called Nothing Is What It Seems. Now, look at these titles. And again, these are the strange things that you come across when you do research for certain topics. Blackmail in the Afterlife. Angels of Dead Light, Half-Lizard Shapeshifters, and Impersonators. Etheric Implant Removal. That one's 8 minutes and 13 seconds. I might listen to it just to see what's up there. Ignorant by Design, A Lifetime of Lies. Tell the Pooh Lords of Karma that you are sovereign and you owe them nothing. I really, really like that. Yeshua crushes the Vatican. That very well may be true, as much as I love my Catholic faith and how I was raised. Obviously, there are some questionable people either reporting on the Vatican or in the Vatican, and I'd probably say that's both. What you don't grant yourself can't be granted to you. That's true. That's about consent. This is why we're going to talk about a certain concept in just a moment. Of war and perversion and other alien means of division. 9, you don't have to agree to anything. Somebody should write this down and put it on their fridge if you feel like you need to learn about sovereignty and consent. These would be nice bullet points just to have in your fridge and, look at every now and again. Be careful who you trust. Nobody wants to be a slave. Kali Yuga. Nothing is what it seems. You find the strangest things, Forest Gnome, which is weird because gnomes are like, I don't know, I always liked fairy tales, and I've always liked folklore. I don't think it's a thing, like, I don't look and point at things and say, oh my God, that's evil. Like, no, you can't have that or touch that or do that. That type of fundamentalism to me evokes a lot of fear, and I don't want to be in a place of fear. Like, fear is not of the Lord. But I really like this list. And what was the one? What you don't grant yourself can't be granted to you. Have you ever heard the saying in your career history, employment history, dress for the job you want, not for the job you have. That way you are more likely to get a raise. I was thinking of you past couple days. Glad you're okay. Hey, you. Nice to see you as well. Yeah, I'm all right. Just waiting for certain events to unfold. It's bizarre, to say the least. So dress for the job that you want, not the job that you have. You're more likely to get the job that you want that way. And I shouldn't have to get into the why of that. It's pretty self-explanatory. We're supposed to do the same thing with our prayer life. If you pray on a thing, you ask God, you talk to God about a thing, praying, and then you meditate on it, you focus or think about that thing, and then you wait on God to answer or reply. You should already assume that if it's in your best interest that you have it already. Okay? Now, this isn't going to work with everything because, again, we are not the God. We're not the creator. But we are sovereign. We are little g gods. Christ told us this much. We have to be very careful when we're talking about the fallen angels, too, because we all have a lot of mixed bloodlines at this point. By condemning your brother, you could very easily condemn yourself with your words. So we must be careful. We must be mindful. And I try to maintain this practice in my life now. I don't allow certain things to take root. If something starts to niggle at my brain, I will make myself busy. I will garden, pretend to garden. I play in dirt, basically, is what I do. Cut the grass, go for a bike ride, go for a walk my dog, pet my dog. You get the point. Nature. Nature is very calming. It's very grounding. While it will ground your physical body, it can help your spirit to ascend. And I know these binary or concepts of opposition can be sometimes hard for people to grasp, and they don't know why we have them here in this place that we're in. You can't have one without the other. You can't have joy without having had sorrow. How would you know to be joyous when something good happens if you didn't know what it meant to be sorrowful? That's also why I believe a lot of the things, the worst things, the most heinous crimes that we hear about, I believe those are lies. I believe they are lies to instill fear. Remember, Satan is the deceiver. He's always been a liar. From day one to right now, liar. So we have to be very careful with things attributed to him, such as giving this enemy of ours too much power. Geez, Sam, you're really sawing logs there. Sorry. So when we pray or when we make our daily morning declarations, which I've told you many times to do this, make it a part of your prayer time. Make the 8 minutes every morning and the 8 minutes every night so that you have at least 15 minutes and then 15 more meditating and being quiet as you lay down to go to sleep. I can't say that I practice that all the time, but a rosary takes about 15 minutes. And, people say, oh, well, the verse tells you not to do repetitive prayer. Look, again, that's not what that's talking about. Everything in that book is pretty much spiritual. It's telling you not to think that because you've said 100 prayers to think that that's going to make a difference if it's not for the will of good, because things always end up to the good. Even bad is used towards the good in the end. God has the ability to transmute that type of binary opposition. And I think that we're supposed to be learning to be like God, not to be him or her, but to be as close to or as holy, as set apart as we can be, spiritually speaking. So pray for the things that live your life as if your prayers have already been answered. There is nothing to fear. Most of what you see in the headlines are lies. Would your life be any different? And look at your life. Is it going to be any different 5 years from now if you learn about, certain serial killers, let's say, for example, when we're talking about lower vibrational news or media that's put out? Is your life going to be any different from watching that Jeffrey Dahmer movie or series? Will your life truly be any different than it was 5 years ago? But what it can do is it can diminish or take away some of your shine, the shine of your spirit, the spark within, by filling your mind's eye with negative or dark concepts all the time. So this is again why I try to always offer hope, right? Even if people are being used as organic portals, even if there are people out there charging $80 for a flipping digital copy of their book, when they speak of it, organic portals as if that's who you would want to be, yeah, people are very confused. Try to stay grounded. And in staying grounded, our spirits will transmute energy that we've created that might be rather negative into something better, something good. Christ said there are no good here, but you know what I mean, in respect of this place. Good, as it were. Okay, so I had a couple things I wanted to show you that I found pretty interesting. I don't know if you'll find them interesting. Hold please while I grab them. Oh no. Oh, fiddle-dee-dee, what is this one? There it is. Okay, there's Chrome. I have stuff everywhere, as you can well see. Organic portals, organic. Where is it? Oh, there it is. There's one of them. Okay, so let's get into a couple of strange things. This is what Israel's up to. As you can see, I mean, my files are cluttered. My desk is cluttered, but it is an organized clutter. Okay, so do you see the picture there? There's your image that they give you. I don't know, like the people that believe that Elon Musk actually put a car in space, if you believe that, I'm sorry, but those are some of the worst graphics I've seen since Godzilla. Always find your subject matter interesting. Thank you. I suppose, I mean, yeah, it's interesting, but some of it, like I said, that's out there, we have to be rather discerning about. All right, so there's a lot here that's that's occultic, or you could even say it's a part of the algorithm. You can tell. I say that spirit has an algorithm too, to try, and I use all these different concepts to try and relate, like, oftentimes the same thing to a variety of different people who might fall across my videos. And so I've seen nature's algorithm play out in my own life. Every time I look at the clock, it's 3:33. I live in an area code with 33, an address with 33 in it. I mean, for me, it goes on, and you know, the 33rd vertebrae. What do they say happens there is, I think, where the chrism of that serum is released when you get to the 72 hours of a fast. So I've seen things play out, like I said, organically. My birthday, my name, what it means, what my father's name means. And again, it's not about me, it's to encourage you all. We are none of us, God is not a respecter of persons, right? So I am no better than you, you are no better than me. I am no more special than you, you are no more special than me. But that's only to say, you know, again, most parents can understand this concept. We are unique. We are each unique. We are each special to God, and none of us is worth more than another. He would not ransom you for any less than he would ransom me. But he does give us each individual personalities and gifts, and that is, all these things create your personal spirit, right? And if your spirit is not seated in the house of your temple, then you become an organic portal, meaning you're allowing other things to operate within and from and through you. Sometimes this can be good. Sometimes God mandates this in certain spirits. The spirit of Elijah will work through people. That you'll see they have those same anointings. Anyways, this has a lot of that going on. An Israeli company that's called Raphael. Okay, Raphael is one of the archangels as well as a painter, right? As well as a Ninja Turtle. You see how things are repetitive. Israeli company Raphael has unveiled a shipboard version of its iron beam. Were we not just talking about iron and certain deterrents of certain beings like iron and copper and lavender and cilantro? By the way, I have 2 pots of lavender that still have sprouted nothing. I can grow almost anything, and I cannot seem to grow lavender. If somebody wants to mail me a lavender plant, that would be like awesome. um, so iron beam laser weapon, and this brings to mind dues, things that people were saying. But again, look, we can't do anything greater than God can do here. We are all copiers. A child copies and mimics its parents. A child mirrors its parents. We mirror or copy or mimic God the Creator. So we created computers based off of our own brains. But we've gotten to such a point now where people have actually forgotten this. People have not taught their children this, and children think that computers run us. Like, this is legit what some people believe at this point. I don't know. Anyways, so for me, do we have certain technologies? Yes. But there are certain things I want to see the science of. I want to see them for myself. Pictures do not hold the same meaning. Like I said, if you believe that Musk put a car into space, go watch the old version of Godzilla, and maybe you'll understand then why I feel the way I feel about certain things like that are occurring. Those are just their beta tests to see if we're ready to accept anything yet. And if people will believe that's a car in space, then by golly, people will believe that that little gray suit put on a child is an alien. So this is all tied together. All of this matters, but we have to remember that God is still in control. We have to live as if our prayers are already answered. We have to have no fear and be confident. And we have to also understand that some of these stories put out are to hide God's own working. The California fires were blamed on Jews. They were blamed on gender reveal parties, but they were never attributed to God's angels. And it is said in the end days, one of God's angels will set fire to the trees. And I wanted to make a note about trees again. We'll do a whole video on them because I think they're very integral to our life here and us to them. And we should be working in cooperation with our environment. Quit kicking me. Oh, you're a goober sometimes. So, yeah, let's continue with this real quick. Here's what we know. The iron beam laser weapon can be integrated into an air defense system. It is designed to provide protection against drones of all sizes, cruise missiles, and even short-range ballistic missiles. They're calling this other thing, is it called the Rod of God? That's actually a satellite in space, and it can... Look, I don't even know that I believe in satellites anymore. It seems like most of our good wiring is underground. And again, that'll be weird to most people. Water's a conductor. I forget where it was I was visiting as a kid with my dad, but we were driving in an underground tunnel under or through like this causeway. And we had better reception than we didn't. And I said, why does the tunnel under here let us hear this? Elon Musk said it's so fake, you know it's real. Yeah, that's actually what he said. I'll quote that because he said it. And I just, yeah, he is definitely, he's the youth's version of like a superhero of like the Iron Man guy, but he's just not. He's a character. He himself is a character. Like I said, there's someone else he is representing. And I want to talk about that in a minute too. So many things to cover. Okay, so yeah, the thing with trees is that the Bible says that in the end days, do not touch the vines or the oil, leave that, and do not scorch the trees of the earth or the water, something about the water in the trees, I think. We can look it up. And leave my trees until after all of the elect have been marked or sealed, or yeah, sealed. And I'm seeing a lot of trees get cut down. And I mean, the park at the end of the road where I take you guys and take Sam, it's not like a giant park. It's very small-ish. I mean, it's perfect for this community, but for them to be cutting down trees, it's disappointing, depressing. There are a few more there, but they won't be any way comparable to the ones they've cut down. Um, Sorry, I'm getting some tinnitus every time I do talk about certain topics. So, yeah, they're cutting down a lot of trees now, I noticed, and that made me think of that verse. And it's very possible that everybody is or has been sealed at this time. Because I think it only goes on until the last person accepts or refuses to hear the gospel. And everybody wants to know how children figure into that, and I don't want to theorize on that right now. Honestly, I think children get a free pass, children that are under the age of accountability. So I don't even think they have to hear the gospel. I see so many beautiful trees cut too. Yeah, and the ash trees, I did a video on that. The ash trees are dying, and I believe that's because we're not giving the female any appreciation in the real world, and the female is being mocked by men. And they think that they're cute and that they're funny, and they're kidnapping biological women. They have been doing this in Detroit for some years now. America is not the safe place that a lot of people have been led to believe that it is. It's just not that way. We feel like we're kind of like the dregs over here now, and that's why I say humility is a good place to be. You can't get beat down any lower, and it helps your spirit to elevate. So when talking about these things, it's important to know, okay, are they actually doing this? Are they touting their own, prowess here? Or are they covering up for something that God may or may not do? And that's what I think CV was. It was the cover up for something that they knew was coming and something that they knew had already occurred. And I believe that keeping people apart is because most people, but especially women who are mothers, can tell the difference between an imposter and their real family. And again, I know this sounds bizarre, and maybe I am a little crazy, but who isn't at this point in this world that we're in? It is not a good thing to be well adjusted to a sick society like this. It's just not. People who are crushing right now and living it up or whatever, their fall is going to be hard. Yeah. The main features of Iron Beam are endless ammunition and minimal collateral damage. This system is also easy to maintain. Israel is considering integrating laser weapons into its national air defense system. A shipboard version of the Iron Beam was unveiled at IMDEX Asia 2023 in Singapore. The video below shows how the laser weapon shot down an unmanned aerial vehicle and a missile. What's funny about Singapore, I did a video about this, but I took it down. Somebody posted on Quora how Singapore was a fake Truman city, and they actually had video of it showing, and it was kind of shocking. So again, I think there's a lot at play. I think there's a lot people don't understand. I think it's a shame that people are passing on and not getting the truth of this place or of what's actually going on. And I'm no better than anyone else. I just am able to see certain things that are playing out, and when you can, when the whole journey of the Wizard of Oz, Dorothy and her gang of misfits, they kept trying to see behind the curtain the whole time. Well, where do we go? Where's the Wiz? Where's the wizard? Where's the wizard? And then they finally get there and see how things are done, and they're like, well, that kind of takes the magic out of everything. Some people might, if they saw behind the veil, feel that way. Some of the things God's showing me, I'm like, what? This isn't even a thing, and we're all worried about. Some of just how much this really is a stage, and how fake things can be. Isn't alcohol illegal? It does seem like a strange place. I don't know the answer to that. Um, it's funny, and when you make something illegal or you prohibit it from somebody, they almost want to do it more. It's like, again, that feels like it's also part of the curse of the fall of man, is this rebelliousness when we're told not to do something, how we go and do it anyways. That was the whole problem in the garden. It wasn't. And just like men, especially when they teach about David, they fail to see what God was actually, why he had the consequences in his life that he had towards the end. It wasn't because David's wives introduced him to false gods. It was because David had a bunch of wives. Number one, if he didn't have a bunch of wives, he would have never been introduced to some of those cultures, right? But men who teach today, you can really tell somebody has their own sin when they quantify it and they try to say, well, there's nothing wrong with that, or they try to avoid, if it's a preacher, they try to avoid preaching on that topic. They have a sin problem in that area then. I knew an overweight preacher. He would talk of repentance, but never of gluttony, or alcoholism. So I've been taking mugwort for heartburn and cramps, among other things. Ladies, it actually does work. But this time I tried something different. I really didn't like it. But yeah, we have to be very discerning when looking at these. So we're going to look at one more quick one. Nobody remembers this. I also did a video on this in 2018 when all the weird stuff started happening, maybe late 2017. They talked about blowing up part of the moon. Now this is brought up more and more often, and I don't know why. Why would, if it controls the tides, as we're told, if these things are true, why would you want to blow it up? If it also, women have cycles if we are cyclical, like the moon is cyclical. And that's also why I have a problem with certain people that teach the Bible, is because they're very anti-feminine. They think it's very anti-woman. And they're pulling away the wrong lesson from some of that. And that's kind of where that fundamentalism will lead you to. Everything feminine is looked at as like, well, I'll just say it, Baphomet is part male, part female. And a lot of men who teach from the angle that everything evil, lunar cycles, cyclical, astrology, anything having to do with the stars and planets, that's all wicked, it's all evil, and it all is Eve's fault. That's not necessarily true. God made this environment for us to work in cooperation with it. Yeah, right? So if this actually does control the tides and women are cyclical along with the moon, why would you want to blow up the moon? Like, why does that ever sound like a good idea? I'm going to leave this here so you guys can see. It's from Hackaday, Scorched Moon Secret Project A119 by A.I. Williams. Is that Al or A.I.? It's interesting. But it goes on to say about how many different times this has been talked about blowing up the moon. Nuclear detonations in the vicinity of the moon are considered in this report, along with scientific information which might be obtained from such explosions. The military aspect is aided by investigation of space environment, detection of nuclear device testing, and capability of weapons in space. I just don't even... There's so much here that I can't... And there's more talk on magnets, which we know we need to always be aware of, the talk about magnets. And I want to show you that one before I get into the other thing. Okay, and so we've got to talk about the reptilian angle. I am so tired of this angle, like literally sick, tired. I couldn't be more sick of it. Do reptilians exist? I don't know. I don't put anything past the creator, of creating anything. Was it a reptilian in the garden? I don't know. I wasn't there. Why was the snake so punishment to slither on the ground if it always slithered on the ground? Because it didn't always slither on the ground. I hate that ad on YouTube. It didn't always slither on the ground. That's the point. I would say that it sounds like it was a dragon right? The red dragon, the red serpent. For some reason, when it lost its wings, we forgot too that that's what it used to be. But so there's one of my understandings as far as this goes is humans are like one of the only, well, not the only thing, primates, mammals, but like all these other beings God creates, they can fly and they have wings. I guess some people can levitate. We'll talk about that too. Probably tomorrow. I want to do another video on something very strange, which I'll mention at the end of this video. But I've said for a long time that I know they like to rename themselves throughout history. They attribute different tribal or surnames to themselves and their families. And I said I thought they changed the names of the land masses, and everybody laughed at me, and nobody thought I knew what I was talking about. And everybody sent me pictures of themselves, you know, at the Egyptian pyramids. See, here I am. I'm sorry, but there's some kind of big deception going on with land masses and travel, and I think there's a lot of gaslighting happening. And again, when we think back to the video I did about commonalities in costumes, okay? FBI people, Mormons, Southern Baptist missionaries, and the Mormon missionaries, Secret Service agents, they all dress the same. They all pretty much have the same costume. They're all men in black, all of them. Black pants, white shirt, black skinny tie, like Buddy Holly or something. They all have that same look, right? It's the same thing with land masses and travel. We are often confused with pictures and labels attributed to such pictures and what they really are or what they are not. This is why I tell you, watch the news with the sound down, see what the images tell you, what they're trying to convey, because it's not always about the story. But they're going to want us to accept certain things worldwide, but especially here in America, or what is referred to as America. And reptilians are a thing. Like, I don't know why, but they're a thing that keeps coming back. And I don't know if it's like reptilian worship, if it's like open worship of the serpent. I'm not quite sure where to go with this, right? I know that the angels and the seraphims have 4 faces, and some of the angels are referred to as having, you know, different type of eyes, and on this goes. You know, you have the contacts you could buy to look like a demon or like a reptilian. But then again, are there really people out there like this? Look, I don't know. But I know that it's some type of agenda because these stories keep coming. What just emerged at the Grand Canyon shocks the whole world by the archaeologist. Now, he's somebody that Google pushes all the time. His channel is a part of the system, like a big part. And this is something they want you to believe in, and they want you to have in your conscience, right? The question is why? Why do they want it there? If somebody wants me thinking a certain thing, I want to know why. Like that's just common sense to me. All right, so this leads us to this, and I know this is a weird segue, but it's something you should know. And so this is what the WHO has been up to. And this could affect all of us. Again, we're going to see all of these things come together. So I'm almost going to cut to the chase here myself because I want to. He's not even in this one. Hang on. Hold, please. Where is the dude? Don't see him. Oh, it's in my Kindle app. Okay. I'm gonna bottom line this for you. Okay. So there was this thing called the Pandemic Accord that the WHO implemented, and everyone that was a part of the UN, I believe, signed it. As the current U.S. Senate is unlikely to ratify a pandemic accord, it might make more sense for the WHO member states to invest more effort in ensuring that the international health regulations are adapted to respond to the next pandemic. Okay? The IH are the only global regulations to prevent the international spread of disease and contain certain binding obligations on member states. There are certain words that they have changed in the documentation. I'm not going to get into it now because I honestly don't want to dox my phone like that and go through my whole library right now. I have a file on it. I'll do a short video on that itself, okay? But there has been some key verbiage that was changed, and that is not good for those of us who want to remain sovereign or have our autonomy about ourselves. Sammy. And also what it does, these new ratifications that they're making and this pandemic accord, the Director General, if you know who he is, Director General. And you might have saw my next video topic there. This person, he is on his second term. He was reelected. He's an Ethiopian public health official, researcher, and the Director General of the World Health Organization since 2017, when things got weird. He is the current Director General, all right? Let's think for a minute. You've got the Pope, right? You've got the President of the United States. You've got the King now. Now you've got this person, the Director General. And you've got Elon Musk. That's five. 5 guys, right? 5G, 5 guys, haha, funny, funny. The 6th will likely be the AC. Possibly. But I was thinking about this and mulling this over yesterday, thinking about, like, who would the top dogs be of the world right now if we could pull them in? And I don't want to hear about that, some of those richer, older men. This isn't going to go that way. Those are just, I believe totally that those are just boogeymen that they show us. The Schwartz and that they're also old. Even Kissinger. I don't even know if that guy's still alive, or Soros. But they've been showing those same pictures of these people for literally, I kid you not, since YouTube's advent, since it began. Again, I think they use those people as boogeymen. I don't think they're really the ones in control of things, obviously. Is it serpent beings? I don't know. All I know is that I'm sovereign and you are too, and we need to stand firm in that sovereignty and in our faith in Christ and walk this out the same way that he would. There's a reason they're trying to instigate people to violence at this time, because by natural law, they are not allowed to touch us. They cannot force themselves upon us. We must consent to it, whether by our words, our signature, our actions, or our complacency. So again, learning about your own sovereignty, learning about natural law and consent are key. Maybe we'll do that in the next video's natural law. Again, because it's been a while since we went to it, and there are some key aspects that are good to know there. But yeah, if I think about it, you have the President of the United States, you have the Pope, you have the King, now you have this Director General, you have Musk, who's been pretty prevalent. I would not be surprised if somebody like Obama was put in this position next, or well, I don't want to say too much right now, but there are certain things I have to save because it's just not time yet. And I've got more to do yet. Like, I'm preparing myself spiritually for everything that's going on, and I have to make sure I'm in a certain place with my spirituality before I reveal certain things, because they will bring on probably severe attacks to me. And, oh no, did I lose the Obama? Hydra. No. Fiddlesticks. What are you? Chrome. Are you in here? Okay, so this was some other things that I was looking at. This is NEOM, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and global investors powered by talent and diversity across 14 sectors. Everybody's talking about smart cities or 15-minute cities. Look into smart cities. This is Neo. Remember Neo, like Neo the Matrix, Neo M, Neo Matrix? And they have their new symbols for things, okay? Food, education, design and construction, energy, right? Health, well-being, and biotech. I found it very interesting that biotech is with health and well-being. And of course, it has the lotus flower as its symbol. Look into this. I can't show the videos here right now, but it's a whole new area in Saudi Arabia, in the northwest of Saudi Arabia, where they're going to implement these things, okay? All right. Now, Smart Cities and Communities Act of 2021. If you want to look this up and you don't mind the legalese jargon, Smart Cities and Communities Act of 2021. It is one in which innovative, advanced, and trustworthy information, communication, and energy technologies are applied to improve the health and quality of life of its residents, increase efficiency of operations and services, promote economic growth, and create a community that is safer and more secure, equitable, sustainable, resilient, livable, and workable. It's a grant program. Okay? Columbus, Ohio won a lot of money in that grant program, or received a lot of money in that grant program, thanks to Obama. If I can remember where I had that Obama. I'm about to just look it up because I got all kind of stuff there. All right. Hold, please. So he announced this, right, back in 2015. This is his baby, all right? There's also a list. Seoul, Korea was the first one. Singapore is another one. So there you go, Michelle. We were just touching on that a bit. New York. Gee, I wonder why everybody's visiting New York. London, of course. Copenhagen. Now, please don't forget about the empty ghost cities in China that look like cities from across the world, like France, New York, LA, Paris. They have these cities over there that look like our cities. I think they would be very beneficial if somebody were trying to put out fake news about a place. Do we actually know what's going on in our own country if we are not there? No, we don't. The first smart city was arguably Amsterdam, with the creation of a virtual digital city in 1994. Okay. Boston. Gee, isn't that funny? Boston just had StatenCon, didn't they? Boston's Smart City Plan was one of the first in the United States. One of Boston's key ideas is that instead of just collecting data using smart devices, they would make it possible for residents to submit data to the city. I wonder how many of us targeted individuals have people that were doing this for us, where our information was just given. What is the top #1 smart city? If you were to compare Delhi, Mumbai. Okay, now India's real big into this, okay? Who won the Smart Cities Challenge? Green roads, thriving places, created by smart neighborhoods and green communities. LaGrange, Georgia is a smart city in the U.S. San Francisco. Why is New York called a smart city? Smart city is a concept that sees the adoption of data sharing smart technologies, including the Internet of Things. There it is. And information communication technologies to improve energy efficiency, minimize greenhouse gas emissions, and improve quality of life of a city's citizens. Why is it that when something is really, really bad for us, it sounds like it's really good for us? A spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down, doesn't it? All right, so this is not a smart city offers smart features along with basic features to improve the quality of life to its fullest. Really? What states have smart cities? New York is a smart city. Smart waste management. Oh. Washington, smart city, fostering citizen engagement. Chicago, that's another one that we've talked about ad nauseum with all the missing women. Reduced energy costs. I wonder, and then with the missing 411, right? A lot of those, even the children, were on disability. They were on SSI. I mean, people need to look at these things. And a lot of them, the ones that were women, were covering their hair or they had a thyroid issue. Some of them were older. They were also on SSI. Be a pretty fast way to reduce the cost of a city, right? I'm just saying. I'm just making an observation. I'm just speculating, which we are free to do. Seattle Smart City. Boston Smart City, reimagining its streets. And again, they just had SatanCon there, which most people think it's a joke. And you know, I would have at one time too. Get out of here. I would have at one time as well, but I know a little different now. New York is the smartest city in the U.S., occupying the 12th position out of 118. Below is a profile of 7 cities appearing on the aforementioned index. New York, Washington, Chicago, and all these places have very high crime rates. Like, that's what I don't understand. Or are they just saying they have high crime rates to keep undesirable people away? Seattle Smart City, data to reduce food waste. Remember when it used to be a thing to you know, give day-old bread and donuts to the homeless? Remember when that was made illegal? That's when we should have rose up. Food rescue initiative. And most things I found, like even the trafficking sites that say they help people, the nonprofit things, they're actually helping to traffic people because they're getting them to the US, and a lot of them didn't want to come or shouldn't be in the US, at least not legally yet. So you have to understand that a lot of these organizations that tout, much like the Nobel Peace Prize, right? They give the Nobel Peace Prize to a person who is clearly racist. And I'm not going to say which one that is because I'm not opening myself up to that just yet. I have to find more documentation to prove my stance there. So this goes on and on. Reimagining its streets is Boston. By installing cameras and sensors, the city is collecting data about the behavior of drivers, pedestrians, and cyclists. See, I want to know, there's like 140 of these, they said. I want to know where they're all at. San Francisco, sustainable mobility. Denver, centralizing information for enhanced decision making. What does that mean? Delinquency. Address some of its major challenges: delinquency, traffic congestion, collision between vehicles, air pollution, and economic inequality. Well, I was going to bring Harry into this conversation anyway, and I just got to say, I said this years ago, but I'll say it again. It'll probably be here anyway. Prince Harry and Meghan allege near catastrophic paparazzi car chase in New York. Yeah, Obama did get a Nobel Peace Prize after dropping hundreds of drone missiles onto civilians. Yeah. And so did our favorite Mandela, the Mandela effect. Actually, the Mandela effect is apathy, allegedly. But I got to do a whole thing on that, so that's going to be a pretty big presentation, and it's probably going to be a little more formal, so I want to have actual facts to back that up. Anyways, again, you can't believe everything you read on the internet, so it's good to like go to sources, find out if they're credible sources, and on it goes. But I said this years ago. They're not going to let people drive, okay? Driving, it's too dangerous for us. It's not safe enough, right? They're going to say that vehicles are weapons unless you are an essential worker or it is essential for your job, like Amazon drivers, delivery drivers. Why do you think targeted individuals are being targeted on the roads? Because you're not a part of their system. You're not a delivery driver. You're not essential to be on the road. Maybe you're just wasting gas, they think. Who knows? Whatever is making people act in this way openly to others at this point. Like I said, I've had certain stores treat me terribly. It's like, you really don't want my money, and they legitimately do not, I don't think. I've said from the beginning, this was all organized. It was micromanaged. These people were raised like this. They knew this was coming. However, for them to switch their personalities as quickly as they did, almost overnight, something artificial, not organic, happened to those people. Something that made them all like Legion, as to where they're all operating as one. And it would be beautiful if the church could do that itself, but at the same time, it's kind of creepy. We're not meant to be little ants. We're supposed to be unique. Each one of us is different. That's with a purpose and for a reason, and I truly believe that. But the next thing to go, the next restriction is going to be vehicles. That's one of the reasons I never wanted to drive. I knew in my gut all this was coming. How I knew, I don't know. I was a kid who had dreams, and I didn't know any better. But I've been saying this for years. That's why everybody who wanted to travel or get to a certain place, you need to be there like yesterday, because you're going to be stuck with these people that you look around and see now, and it might not be a pretty situation for you. Trust me, I know, because I'm living it. And I love my family to death, but it's not my family anymore. Something happened. And you know what? If I'm a mother and that makes me feel better to believe that, so be it. But I actually do believe that in my bones, that something happened to people. So this is going to be one of the things, and he's going to be really big in America. Like, Daddy might give him the US to, like, I'm really wondering if he dropped the titles so he could make a bid for the presidency in America, if that's why maybe he had to drop some of those formal titles. But his father was already referring to I just watched the video the other day. I'll try to find a link for you guys because I'm not going to get the channel dinged for it. But his dad, who is now king, was making a speech to the UN talking about him and talking about how to have global cooperation, they would need a globalized military, and that this person could do that. This person would have unlimited resources. Is it the Director General of the WHO? Because he has now been given, because of the wording that was changed in the accord, in the International WHO Accord, I can't believe I'm saying that, because of the verbiage that was changed, it's not just medical decisions that the WHO gets to make. It's any public emergency that the WHO sees as an emergency. They will declare an emergency, and basically martial law will take effect again. Quarantines, lockdowns, all that stuff. And the Director General of the WHO is now able to make these decisions by him or herself. The world is already globalized, in my opinion. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And hey, hey, I do think it's globalized too. The point is, devising people, we were getting too unified, right? And life was nice, and we were getting too raised in our vibrations. People were eating better, eating healthier. Now people are calling food to have it delivered because they don't want to use their gas to get to the all these reasons, right? You see people are gaining weight pretty quickly. Something is happening, and I soon suspect we'll see the separation of the wheat and the tares, even if you did not want to be separated. Like me, for staying with my family. It seemed like the right thing to do. I really feel like God wants me here. And if God don't want me here anymore, he will remove me himself or make the opportunity readily available. But the whole point is to divide us. And here's the thing with narcissism. Narcissists will get to the point where they want credit, right? They want to be glorified. They want to gloat, and they want to say, aren't I so smart? Do you see what I just did? Aren't I so smart, mummy? Much like your child does, because we're all narcissists as children. We all believe the world revolves around us as a child, right? The problem is with narcissists, eventually they come out of the shadows because it's more worldly people and non-worldly. Yeah, the wheat and the tares, as far as I mean, that's just the way I speak. Yeah, secular in a bad way. Yep. Yeah, I don't know how I see it as far as that goes. I think people will be surprised by the separation of people and things and whatnot. And I don't think it's any one group. I don't think any one group is evil. I don't think any one group is good. Anyways, the wheat and the tares, Tares. Yeah. And wheat, Wheat. Just saying. There you go. Yep. We're on the same page. So eventually a narcissist wants credit and they want glory. That's the downfall of most serial killers, is they can't keep themselves from bragging. They want to brag. There are people on YouTube that I've recognized that are doing basically the same thing when they speak about certain missing people. They are just advertising what they did for their God. And this used to be a known thing, like serial killers, the Zodiac killer. He wrote into the papers. He wanted to be in the paper. He wanted one detective assigned to his case. You know, there's always that cat and mouse story and glory in the papers that goes about stuff like that. But these people, they want to be able to stand on the stage and say, we're the ones who caused you all this fear. We're the ones who did this. Now we're untouchable. You can't touch us. We are like God. And this will happen. It's part of prophecy. I've seen everything else happen, but it will happen, and it will all be because they will be braggarts. They will not be able to keep their mouths shut, and they will want everybody to know what they did, right? They want to brag on themselves. So I suspect very soon we will see, I suspect, 5 key men come together on the world stage and say, haha, we tricked you. You know, like, haha, Simpson, that little kid, when always, you know, I think it's going to be like that. Right, right. They're very arrogant, right? So they want to be like, look, see what I did, see what I did, see what I can do. Look what I can do, Mom. Look what I can do. Like little kids who just never had enough attention from their mothers or fathers or whatever. So I suspect that will happen very soon. But watch for cars and travel to be greatly restricted. If you have someone you need to go see, I suggest you get that visiting done, or you get moved if you need to move. I would have done this already. Word up to me. So, you know, it's rather late in the game, but if you think you can still get it done, or you feel like it needs to be done, or it's something God wants of you, get it done. Because I don't see cars being a big... They're trying to discourage driving as much as they can. That's why I walk and I ride my bike as much as I can, because it's going to get to the point, if not while I'm still here, it will get to the point where people are walking all over the place again, much like Christ did. And I think that, personally, I think it's a good thing. I never wanted to drive. I don't like what it does to the environment. However, I don't condemn those who do, right? Because that's how I get around. But I think, you know, carpooling and things like that are obviously better when you're able to do such things. But, you know, you live in we're supposed to live in a free world here, but from the first breath you take, it's not free. Nothing here is free. But I believe it can be paradise, you know? The earth was given to man. But I believe we need to shut the media off. I believe we need to get rid of the internet altogether completely and never allow it to be turned back on. I think it is the Tower of Babel. I think the Tower of Babel was a computer tower, a very high-powered computer tower, but a computer tower nonetheless. And I don't think God is so arrogant that he would demolish it because they were too close to the heavens. I don't think that had anything to do with it. Um, I think it was a total other lesson that was playing out there. But I do believe, there are folk tales out there as well that say the devil holds souls in towers. And where do we see everywhere? Cell towers and computer towers. So if you ask me what the Tower of Babel was, it was one of the two, maybe both. But I think I'm going to end this one now. I rambled, but I did cover the stuff I wanted you guys to see, which is cool. I will get back to the Who Accord just so you can see the verbiage that they changed. It is shocking. It is shocking that they are giving this much power to one individual. But, yeah. So, you guys have a blessed day. Coming next, okay, so this is going to be weird. We're going to look at eyes again, and I know everybody's probably like, what is with you and eyes? Well, because I've noticed a few trends in movies, and they're showing a lot of this again, like now, the double eye in one eyeball, like two eyes. And so, thank you. It actually has a name. It's allegedly very rare, obviously. But I've seen a couple movies recently, and yes, I do watch scary movies still for a reason. I do consider it research of a certain type. Some people have two or more pupils in the same eye, okay? And there are some people that allegedly look like that. God bless you. Sure, I will. Maybe tonight or tomorrow night. I like the evening ones a lot now because I try to get some stuff done in the beginning of the day. But it was cold this morning, so I wanted to stay in a little longer under the covers. But we're going to look at this because I want to know why it keeps coming up and why eyes are a thing now. Why are people wearing sunglasses inside in the middle of the day making a video? Interesting to know how they see the world. Yeah, right? Like, what do you see there? That almost looks like a planet. Like, almost like it has its own reflection there. That's so bizarre. So weird. But here's the thing. Nowadays, you can't really trust this stuff because you can do anything with a camera, right? But I want to look at some of these things. They're showing a lot of it in the anime, and anime is a doorway too. I don't want to get into that because I know a lot of people like it. My son likes it. I watched some tame anime when I was younger. But it does seem to be a doorway to other things, and you need to be mindful of that and careful of what you're watching. But yeah, it's weird that they're showing more of certain things very specifically in movies, and it's like, okay, is there an agenda behind this? What is the agenda? Why does this keep coming up? And those are things I like to look at, I want to know why. So we're going to look at this, and there's a couple other little things that I want to look at, but I'm trying to keep it really, I'm trying to keep my own, what's the word I'm looking for? My immediate circle very clean and cleansed right now, and trying to stay as high vibrational as I can. And that's what I mean, when you go about your day, you see that you want this job, envision that you already have that job, start making room for that job in your life. You want a husband, start making room in your closet for his clothes, for that husband. Start doing things like that to receive, right? To receive certain things in your life, you have to be receptive. And so we're going to get into probably more of a philosophical talk in the next conversation about spirit and about, how does it manifest in this world and that types of stuff. But I'll leave you with a pretty picture, of course. I wish I had a print of this. I love this picture. But yeah, there's a few things I want to share with you guys, a few little stories that I found that I'll be doing regular uploads of. So just watch for those. And of course, news. There's a couple other things I need to cover, but I'm gonna do them a little more smooth, a little more polished in an upload themselves. Um, and there is that article that I want to go over the whole link regarding Obama and smart cities and his role in that and how that is playing out. Why don't I paint it? Because I could never do anything that beautiful. All right, guys. We'll talk soon. Have a blessed day. Bye. Sorry this wasn't